So I just watched this fan-made Metroid movie. It's like 10 minutes long, links in the description, but it was really cool because it took something that was a video game, took a video game character, one that's been somewhat mistreated in the past, and it made this character human without weakening them. And that was really cool. It's not something that you get to see very often. So the character, I'm just Samus, almost called her Metroid. God damn. There goes all my cred. Samus reacts to things that are like weird and freaky as though they're weird and freaky, but she doesn't like submit. Does that make sense? Samus confronts weird and creepy things in recognizing that they're weird and creepy and scary a little bit, but also doesn't submit to them. Samus always has this air of gotta keep moving forward, gotta get shit done, and very professional, which comes across in this. And one of the things in Metroid Other M is that she submits to an authority because they're an authority, which doesn't really follow with her character. Where the only bit of background we get for Samus is that she was an orphan. She was taken in by these bird aliens called the Chozo, and then she joined the army, the Galactic Federation, and then she became a bounty hunter. I believe that's canon. In the movie, she picks up a signal from the Chozo, and she gets understandably somewhat emotional about that. Not like overly emotional, but worried and confused, and that's very clear in the way that she talks, in the way that she doesn't really understand what's going on, and it's really cool because that's her parents, essentially. That's her family. That's something that she would be confused and worried and be, for lack of a better term, emotional about. Like, that's appropriate. And so this movie did a really great job humanizing a character that normally wouldn't get humanized very well. Sorry about yesterday, had a few audio problems, and today we actually found out that the Binding of Isaac issue that I was just talking about was actually due to a glitch, not due to how the programmers intended for people to unlock items, which is a little bit weird. The conspiracy centered around the number 109, which had to do with the amount of time it took people to unlock everything in the previous version of the game. And the developers, after developing the patch, were like, hey, if we wait like 5 more hours, it'll be at 109, which is the number everybody's freaking out about. So that's what they did. And it turned out, it wasn't really a big deal. They were just having fun with it, playing along with what everyone else was doing. Now, some people are claiming that the developers, were just being big doo-doo heads, and they knew about a problem and they didn't solve it, and they fomented this craziness, even though that they knew that it was a glitch that was causing the problem. They let people go insane trying to figure out what was going on. Yeah, the way the developer talks about the issue, it seems like they knew about the bug as it launched and people were trying to get items and weren't able to get all of the items, so they started working on a patch, and they realized that the bug was something that they intend for an actual secret, like something that they actually want people to not know about. And it's gonna be part of some later update, some later DLC, some later game maybe, and personally, I think this has to do with downloading information, so I think it's an update. I think there's going to be an update later to the game that changes the way things are unlocked or adds new things that can be unlocked, something like that, which is pretty interesting, and I actually applaud that if it had worked right in the first place, other than we had just avoided all of this insanity. Hey everyone, so I'm feeling a little under the weather, so that's the cozy clothes are for, but today is Friday morning, and this is when the Fallout 4 embargo was lifted. Not the Fallout 4 review embargo, the Fallout 4 review embargo, which, why? Like, I get Fallout, I get review embargoes and how it makes sure that everyone who's reviewing a game has the time to figure out all the mechanics of the game, play through it to the extent that their review is actually a review and not just them playing the first 10 minutes and being like, yeah, great game, good time. That came off a little bit weird accent. I didn't do it on purpose. Too sick to care. But having an embargo on when you can tell people when your review is going up is a little over the top, I think. That's what's going on with Fallout 4. Fallout 4 as of 10 a.m. Friday, November 6th, I think, reviewers are allowed to tell people when the review is going up on Monday, but they aren't allowed to say anything about the game before Monday. I don't get it. It makes absolutely no sense to me. How many people plan out that sort of coverage? Okay, I understand planning out the coverage in advance. I mean, that's what the whole point of the embargo is. Who tells people when the coverage is going to be going up in advance? Usually people just, if there's an embargo, that's when it goes up. Like, everyone's gonna post everything at the same time, unless people are making sure that they play like way above and beyond the amount necessary to review. So that doesn't really make sense to me. But it's better than day one embargoes. That's insane. Today, I want to talk about the Uncanny Valley for a little bit. So the Uncanny Valley is where, as we get better at rendering people, as we get better and better at rendering what people look like in games, we like it better and better because it looks more like people. But then at some point, we're gonna keep going this way, at some point you get to a point where they look like almost too real, but they're not quite perfect. Like, it starts to go down because they're like almost there, but there's one or two things off, like about the way they act or the way they look, that sort of makes it feel like wrong, so we like it less. And that kind of stinks because it kind of prevents us from, pushing forward that technology and getting better things, but we'll get there someday. So the best example of explanation of this that I've seen in recent times is Until Dawn, because they have really good motion capture and really good rendering of people in that. It's probably because there's not a lot of things they have to put the characters through that aren't pre-done, pre-rendered, essentially. You don't have much control over what the characters are doing. It's almost like a movie where you choose your own adventure, which is part of what makes that game amazing. But in the pause menus, and especially when the characters aren't doing anything, their idle animations are really weird. Whereas most of the time people, like, they might have little things that they're doing with their face, like if they're staring off into space, maybe they'll like bite on their lip a little bit, maybe they'll just like furrow their brow a little bit. Instead, in Until Dawn, you get some of this. So the reason this comes up is because I saw an article about the game Hellblade coming out, which, funnily enough, comes from the company that brought you Heavenly Sword, but they're trying to make their human character as human as possible. And now their renderings look pretty good, but it's super beta alpha way out there. They're not even, I don't think they have a console yet. So it's not optimized for anything. They're just running it as smoothly as they physically can, and it looks pretty awesome. The attention to detail is insane. But what's really cool is that instead of using stylized character, like, modeling, like, guys have arms literally the size of melons, they body scanned a fitness trainer so that their human body looks like a human body. And that's a really cool idea, and it's something that's kind of expensive, so you probably don't see it a lot, but they're using motion capture and body scan to figure out exactly what they want the renderings to look like, and they're trying to make sure that everything fits. They're like showing the character move, and all the muscles of the whole like arm and the back and the neck all move in unison. It's really cool. There's not much you can say about the final product based on what we have now, but the technology in it is pretty cool, and the hope that they have that it's going to come out as a really cool product in-game is kind of inspiring. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that, and I hope it comes out really well. So this is a week. This is 1 week. I have 3 more of this to hopefully get a decent length out. I'm not sure what it's gonna end up looking like, but we'll see. We'll see.